May 2021, and I do welcome you to our first show. What better way to start the morning than watching us here on STV, where we select everything for fun. Welcome to the show. My name is Carol Tumwine. Please do follow through on our social media platforms. That's at STV Uganda on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel, where you will find most of the information that we are about to start discussing. Today, we are going to look at a number of issues, and before we get into them, I'd like to remind you that Monday is the best day to start giving out positive energy and doing everything right, because it's a new day, it's a new week, and it's the best way to start afresh. Whatever happened last week happened. You cannot change the past. You can only hope for the better future. I believe each and every one of us believes in God in one way or the other. And I would like to encourage you to keep praying, to keep your feet to keep yourself at God's feet all the time, so that you are able to, of course, maneuver through life. Life has its own challenges. You are not the first to leave, and definitely will not be the last. But how you get through the stuff that you go through matters a lot, because when you look at the challenges we've been facing, there's nothing new under the sun, just like the Bible says. Talking about the Bible, it reminds me so much of my Muslim brothers and sisters who are fasting. I do wish you a lovely fast, and I'd like to say salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of you. Like I said, my name is Carol Tumwine. Let's get into the details of the first show today. In the first show, we usually look at trending topics, where we bring you political stories, current affairs, as well as the lifestyle, the global exploration. We do let you call in and tell us your views on a number of things, and all that is coming up as soon as now. I would like to start with an interesting story. Now, a while back, and I think months back, the IGP, Martin Okoth Ochola, donated some food relief to Muslims who are fasting. Of course, he came out to give out this food to some of the communities that he saw suffering. Of course, when Muslims are fasting, when they are ending their fast, they deserve to eat very well. And of course, Martin Okoth Ochola said he got touched by the fact that some of these people do not have relief food to use to themselves. And so he decided to run through with his own money from his pockets and donate to Muslims. Of course, Ochola doing this was a very big surprise to all of us, because we do know him as a tough man who promised to put us in our places just in case we try to cause war or instability around Uganda. Of course, Ochola did this while receiving the items, the Secretary of Religious Affairs, Sheikh Muhammad Mushid of the Uganda Police, thanked him for exhibiting compassion towards the vulnerable Muslims, and pledged to scale up the workmanship or relationship with the police. Of course, the police has been in the news lately for not so good reasons, because if you take a look at the police reports coming through, where, of course, a number of them, about 1,000, were laid off from office because of different issues pertaining to discipline, especially. Now, as the media, we have reported very many things concerning police, where people have come out to complain about the way police handles its issues, the way police treats civilians, the way police handles people who have done maybe crimes, or people who have committed crimes. And so we thought Martin Okoth Ochola was on this side, and he was on the side of making sure that, of course, police is handled with an iron hand. And we did not see this coming. We did not see him giving out relief food to Muslims, but he surprised all of us. And of course, the food relief comprising of rice, sugar, and other items like soap was delivered to the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council headquarters at the Old Kampala shortly before Friday prayers. Of course, the IGP, who was also represented by Assistant Inspector General of Police, who is Abbas Byakabaga, thanked the UMC, which is the Muslim community, for tremendous work that they do while serving the Muslim community. Of course, he went on to thank Martin Okoth Ochola for his kind heart towards the Muslim community. We do wish them the best, and of course, wish them every good thing in life. Moving on to our next story. It was the Labor Day recently, and we celebrated it worldwide. We celebrated it countrywide as well, where we took our celebrations back to the State House in Kampala, where, of course, the head of state commemorated this day. While in his speech, he gave a number of issues where we shall get even the topic of discussion for today. But before we get to the topic of discussion, there is another story, there is another point that he made that really caught my attention. So he directed the elimination of the Uganda's leading power distributors, Umeme, from supplying electricity to the country's industrial hubs. Now, we do know that industries take a lot of the power that we use as a country. And of course, we do know that there is a shortage of power in some areas of the country, where some of these areas are not receiving adequate electricity. And the president thinks it is because most of the power is going to the industry side of it. Now, he said some of the people went behind his back and signed an agreement in 2005 that led to Umeme, which is a private organization, start to distribute power. Now, I was wondering, how can such a thing happen before, without President Museveni's knowledge? How can people go behind President Museveni's back? Because we know that the president is a very sharp guy when it comes to issues concerning anything to do with national issues. It's a surprise that this bypassed him just like that. And he said he needed it to be taken seriously because the industrial parks will get now power straight from the dam to their offices, so that it does not interrupt this other power that Umeme distributes to and around the whole country. Now, Museveni's problem was that people who went behind his back to sign this very expensive deal for construction of the Bujagali hydro plant, as well as the other plants in 2005, allowed Umeme, the private company, like I said, to distribute power. Of course, he said he accepted it and provided that they agree on a fine price, which came to about $4.9 per cent, which is still expensive for some Ugandans, because I can imagine a Ugandan in the village right now. Let's say if you come from the places of Matuga, I have a feeling that those places are still struggling with power. And I'm thinking, if you are to pay power, let's say every month you clear a bill of 20,000 shillings just in power, it means that you have to save that 20,000 shillings off your salary, off your salary of probably 120,000 shillings to make sure that you cover the electricity bill. The electricity issue is still really a big one, because he says areas of Gulu, Pakwach, the northern Uganda, some in the eastern, some in the southwest are still affected by the power. And of course, power runs almost all our businesses as a country in Uganda. And so he says it would be a very sad thing if we went into another term of office while still struggling with power. However, we should remember that when Bujagali hydropower dam was being put up, Ugandans were promised that it's going to be a very good project that will end the power problems in Uganda. However, we still have a few of those because, of course, anything you plan comes with its own challenges, and usually what we plan does not go as planned. Usually there's one or two things that go missing. Well, about the power, there's a lot to talk about, because when we remember the power company that urged the concession to be hammered out early enough and allowed the time to access funds, making it a large investment for Uganda as a country and Uganda as a whole. Of course, President Museveni is doing his best. According to me, I think he's doing his best to make sure that the power problem does not become one huge one that cannot be handled by Ugandans themselves. However, we need to keep track on some of these things, because as Ugandans, it's our job to find out exactly what the progress is for some of these things. Because as a Ugandan, you have your rights to know how because, for example, we have a right to know how the money that comes through from Umeme or to Umeme is used? How is it, the accountability basically, how is it accounted for? How is it used to push forward the dream that we have as a country to make sure that we don't lack power? The other countries that we share this problem with is Nigeria, where there's a blackout almost every day according to reports, as well as Angola. Yeah, there's a power blackout every day, every single day, and you would think these are developed countries, and Uganda is the only one that is not developed. But I would like to tell you that even other countries like Nigeria is one of those African countries that made its name, of course, through their entertainment. Well, the movies and all, and so they made their name, and you would expect that some of these areas are established in their country, but however, reports coming through indicate that they are still struggling with power as well. Now, Uganda is not the only one that's struggling, so as you judge maybe our leaders, don't judge them very harshly, because we are not the only ones that are going through that. Our topic of discussion will be about Museveni saying, talking about the 70 million job creation, and of course this question for the day will come through that. But before I got into that, I'd like to tell you another story that I found across the internet. But remember to follow us on our social media platforms, because you can get a lot of this information I'm talking about is already there. If you go there, you get different updates on what is happening in and around the country, because the team really tries to give you updated information on this. And now 2 Ugandans have dragged government to the Constitutional Court, challenging the law on preventive arrests, as always, used by the police force. Now, I've been telling you that there's been complaints about the Uganda police force handling civilians with an iron hand, even when it's not necessary. Now, these 2 Ugandans went in to report the government of Uganda, specifically the Department of Police, for manhandling civilians. Now, they say that these people have been brutally beating people since the time that the NUP and all other political parties were trying to vie for office as the next presidential candidates. And they blame the Uganda police force for coming out and using iron hands since then until now. Now, these 2 Ugandans say it's very touching to them to see Ugandans being brutally beaten, brutally treated as if they do not deserve a place in their country. Now, the court came out to give them some of the guidelines that police follow while arresting people. And now one of these is that if you don't have an arrest warranty, if the police officer does not have an arrest warranty, usually they are allowed to arrest a person forcefully if the person tries to use force. Also, if the person is expected to be causing any kind of commotion, the police is allowed to manhandle you. And of course, we do not know how this is going to end. These are not the first 2 people that, of course, have reported government that have reported police to the courts of law. And of course, I've not seen anyone beat the courts, any civilian beat the courts of law, because now when you look at the lawyers that go in to represent the government, these are very good lawyers who have studied the law to the dot. So as you report the government, you should also make sure that you have studied the law to the dot and you know what you're reporting, because now as we see, there was a backlash because the court gave its own ruling, and the articles were brought out according to the law, proving that a policeman is allowed to a policeman is allowed to handle civilians a certain way if they bring force. And we have been seeing forceful arrests, of course, where civilians are also not very easy people when it comes to rioting. And so when you use when an iron hand is used upon you, it means that you, of course, made it happen by using force on the police. Now, it is therefore declared that these 2 Ugandans who want the Constitutional Court to declare the Section 24 of the police contravenes and articles of the Constitution, to petition and humbly pray that this court will be pleased by their judgment. That's it from the courts of law. However, lawyer Mabirizi also is set to go back to court and form his own political party. Of course, Lawyer Mabirizi, we will remember that he's one of the political figures that we have in the country. Now, in his letter to the Electoral Commission, he says his party is named after the Uganda People's Interests, and this is going to be the name of his new party. Now, what I'm wondering is that we do have a number of political parties. However, what exactly is this one going to do different from the rest of the parties that have developed over the years? Because we had a lot of hopes in some of these political parties, but their energies kept swindling down and going down a little bit. But this one comes to he has very many promises to us. Things like the interests of the people will be cared about. But which political leader has come out to create a political party and not talked about people's interests? Everybody talks about people's interests, but first of all, what are the people's interests? Because you might want to solve a problem that involves people's interests, but what exactly are the people's interests? Well, in response to Mabirizi's request, the Electoral Commission said that they can't reserve the party color and symbol since they are in use by another party. Now, guys, we do have a number of colors in the country, unless maybe we are colorblind. But you cannot keep on choosing red, blue, black, white, red, blue, black, white for every political party that you want to form. Use colors like beige, pink. We have a number of colors that you cannot fail to get one of those. I don't know why we always run to these colors. Is it because maybe they have dominated the political world since time immemorial? I don't know. That is a question that I pose over to you. Well, in response, the communication by the Electoral Commission, Maverick Lawyer has threatened to drag the elections body to court for frustrating efforts to register a political party. Now, I don't think there is any frustration from the Electoral Commission, guys. If we look at this point clearly, the colors of that Mabirizi is trying to use are already in use by another party. Is it hard for you to choose another color and not run to court every time we have a problem? Because if you look at the Ugandan media, we are always reporting about people, politicians running to court. Every time there's a very small, slight mistake, they run to court, even before understanding why exactly. For example, has Mabirizi taken time to understand why the Electoral Commission is holding him back from, of course, registering his party? One of the reasons is the colors that I've said. A very petty reason. You can just choose another color, then we go on. If you are really interested in helping out people's interests, then you will bypass that quickly. Because some of us like to complicate stuff. A very simple thing that you can just say, okay, let me do as I've been told, and then we go to our next step. Because I believe your political party is not coming to power to start talking about colors of the political party. No. Your political party is coming to power to give us direction on where to go politically, give us new ideas on what we haven't done, or even if they are not new, because like I said at the beginning of the show, under the sun there is nothing new. If you are coming to develop the ideas that you found already people are doing, because Mabirizi, in case you didn't know, there are a number of political parties here in Kampala already set and already running. Now, if you are coming to compete with them or to work with them, because you don't have to even compete with them, we still have, there's enough space for political parties if we can say so. But what new thing are you bringing to us? Well, here is what Electoral Commission says. He says EC wants to inform him of the specifics in terms of similarities between proposed party symbols and colors and those of UPM and URP to enable him to access the legality of the decisions by the elections body. Well, a timely response will be appreciated since challenging your decisions is time-bound and we are already late to serve Uganda's people's interests. If you are already late, like I said, then go to the next thing. If they are telling you to choose another emblem for your political party, choose it. Choose it. Don't give yourself a hard time. Choose another color. Like I've told you, we have very many colors. I don't think anyone is using pink. Use pink, get another color, move on from that and start work. Because we believe your political party is not going to be only in the news for such petty reasons. We want to hear you talk about the national budget. Where is the money going? How should we follow up as Ugandans to know how our money is being spent? Because just like I've told you, it is your right to know how the money is being spent. And I think this is the biggest challenge. Mabirizi, as you come to office, Our biggest challenge right now is that Ugandans don't have accountability at all of where their money is going, how it's being spent, when it's being spent, who spends it anyway. We just see them reading the budget, allocating some funds. We go on to the next year like that. And so one of the things you should look into is helping us in that direction. Also, politicians, as you join, if you get maybe some MPs to your name or to your party, how are you going to train them to be different or to work with these ones that they're going to find on ground to, of course, help emulate, to help eliminate some of the problems that we do have as a country in Uganda. Those are some of the things we expect from you, Mabirizi sir, as you come to office. Of course, he went ahead to ask the journalists that were interviewing him, and he said, what do you call politics? Maybe you mean electoral politics, because challenging the Kabaka age limit and removal of illegality is all politics. And this is what I'm talking about. Stop going off point. We asked a simple question. What is it exactly that you are bringing to the table as Mabirizi, as a new leader? Of course, you remember one politician that was asked, Sebo, what have you done for the people that you have been representing in parliament? And he said, nothing. And the journalist kept on asking, sir, what have you done? And he said, nothing. I've not done anything for our people. We don't want another case like that to happen because you weren't prepared enough. I do believe that by the time you sat down, because you have been in the news for some time, you have been in our faces for some time, and by the time you sat down and decided to come up with a political party, then you knew exactly what your goals were in this political party, how you were going to handle it, what you were going to do for us differently, and of course, all things like that. Well, we do wish you well. As the media, we will be following up on this political party, on the news, whether they allowed you to do it, whether the Electoral Commission finally came to table and agreed with you. We shall be following through and bring it to our viewers. I would like to send my regards to all the journalists that are working tirelessly to make sure that information comes out timely, comes out precisely, and comes out to be heard by the different Ugandans. The job you're doing is very, very amazing, and I hope that you do not back down. The challenges are many, but what do we have to do, or where will we go where there are no challenges? I don't think there's a place where you can go to work and not find any few challenges. I hope they do not make you back down on your work, because it's a very, very good thing that journalists report the news. Moving on, police have announced the scaling up of curfew operations, especially in Kampala, in the wake of the deadly Indian strain confirmed in the country. Now, we do know what's happening in India, where the COVID-19 cases have gone up high. Now, reports from the Ministry of Health also indicate that Uganda has 39 new cases in COVID-19. Now, the COVID-19 stories had gone down a bit. I don't know if the numbers had, I almost thought COVID-19 is done away with, because there was that period of time where we did not hear from the Ministry of Health constantly about the COVID-19, but reports coming in after India started to have, very many cases and deaths. Then also Uganda, now there are 39 new cases reported to be looming around. Now, if you remember the SOPs, please start to follow them again. If you have been around Kampala lately, it's like we've gone down a bit on wearing our masks, on sanitizing, on whatever. And it's not only Uganda, even outside Uganda, if you have taken time to travel a bit, you will find that the SOPs are not being really followed. But the reports coming in from the Ministry of Health is that we should get serious again with protecting ourselves from the deadly COVID-19 virus. Now, police have used this opportunity to come back and incite curfew, the 9 p.m. curfew, and make sure that it's being followed seriously. Now, my question becomes that you had given Muslims some time, overtime till 10 p.m. Does that still stand? Because in your report, as the police, you say the 9 p.m. curfew is still serious. And I'm asking myself, does that change the time that you had given to these people that are fasting? Anyway, in the story last week, government confirmed that Uganda has registered the Indian COVID-19 variant, which is more transmittable and affects mainly a younger age group where cases have been recorded. However, in a statement released on Saturday afternoon, the Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesperson, Luke Owesigire, said they have scaled up curfew operations, but also targeting people gathered in large numbers. Remember, we are still under the lockdown. We are still under some curfew of sorts because we are still not allowed to gather publicly in large numbers. Now, the police have come out to say they are going to be a bit strict on that part so that we do not get sick of the COVID-19. Government has maintained the curfew time between 9 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. as one of the ways to control the spread of COVID-19. Of course, the president re-echoed the same on Saturday during Labor Day celebrations, where he even said that the country will be open once 7 million people get vaccinated. Of course, 7 million people is not a huge number. We don't know exactly how many people have been vaccinated yet, and we are going to look for this accountability or for this information and be sure to give it to you tomorrow in the first show. And make sure